get into the wide receivers. And yeah, I'll throw it to you, Jake, to start things off on the wide receivers and what you thought. Any surprises here for you? Other than you can all be at ease now. Our guy, Marcus Stevenson, has made the team. I'm so excited about that. But I'm just kidding. But go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I would say, I think the biggest surprise, obviously, is Isaiah Hodgins. And I see Sean over there. He had his hands over his face already. I know his feeling on this. And I'm with you, man. I love Jake Kumuro, D3 guy, grinded his way to the league. Aaron Rodgers praised him. I mean, he worked his ass off to get to where he's at. In terms of the offensive player and what we saw on offense and what they can give you, Isaiah Hodgins did everything in his power. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to build it up every day. My wife thinks I'm a psychopath, but you know what? My buddies on NFL Sunday, they love it down here. It's great. And anyways, what was I saying? Offensively, Isaiah Hodgins did more than enough to make this team, and I can empathize with the Isaiah Hodgins lovers. I was really pulling for him. He actually works out at the gym that I work out at too. Not a big deal, not a crazy flex.
Not for long.
I don't work out with him. That he probably does 10 times more weight than I do. But anyways, kind of cool. So obviously there's some sentiment there. I think the biggest difference maker between him and Jake Kumuro making the team obviously was special teams. And Sal Capaccio on WGR made a very good point. I was listening to him earlier today, and he had mentioned how Isaiah was playing on special teams, and when he got to the point of attack, he really struggled. Whereas compared to Jake Kumuro is a natural there. And as a sixth receiver, are you truly ever going to see the field? The answer is usually no. And I get it. If someone goes down with injury, then they might be thrust into the lineup. But looking at it from afar, and this is sort of, I guess, what made me feel a little bit better, just as that special teams player, which that sixth receiver is going to serve as. He's not going to be even in packages or anything like that. I can't see Jake Kumuro even being on the field. And that's just because we have so many other good guys ahead of him. The type of player that they're looking for at that sixth receiver spot is just a special teams guy. So they're comfortable with the weapons that they have. I mean, we have James Cook, who can also potentially catch passes. We have, the tight ends that we were just talking about, and Khalil Shakir, who's coming up, and Jamison Crowder, who really still hasn't showcased, what he's worth either. I just feel like, they're okay with the weapons that they have, and they weren't looking at that sixth guy to be an offensive weapon by any means. And I understand the frustration, Sean. I'm going to let you go at it here. That's all I'm going to say about this. Take it away, buddy.
Oh, no, I mean, you got Steph Diggs, you got McKenzie, Davis, Crowder, Shakir, Kumro. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible look right there. Because when you really look at it, Gabe Davis is phenomenal. He hasn't had more than 35 catches in a season. Then you got Shakir, who's a rookie, who's going to be very good. And Gabe Davis is great. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, when you're looking at it. And I get what you're saying about special teams. Special teams is very important, and it is a way for people to get onto the field. And I'm going to go back to what you said, Jake. Kumro, his only reason why he's on a football team is because he can run and throw his body at somebody on special teams. But when you look at it, name one play that you remember that Jake Kumro did anything that was worth talking about.
There's one play. Well, special teams wise, there's a couple here and there. But as far as an offensive play, I was just going to say there was the one catch against the Broncos, and he got cut the day after. I don't know if you remember that. It didn't really matter. It was garbage time. But yes, there you go, Austin.
And that was more of a Josh Allen missile than.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable. It was great.
I remember that. But the point being is, you're taking a guy like Hodgins, who was hurt for 2 years. He's finally fully healthy, probably the MVP of the preseason, and you're going to fault him because he's not ready to run 100 miles an hour on kickoff and tackle somebody. I haven't seen Kumro make more than 3 tackles in the time he's been with the Bills. So he's not a Pro Bowler. He's not Medikevich, and he's not Tywan Jones. So when I'm looking at this, and you say that maybe the sixth receiver doesn't play too much, I'm going to say that I don't agree with that just for this season, because again, Shakir's brand new, Crowder's injury history, and again, that's just a lot for Diggs, McKenzie, and Davis to have all that load on themselves. They're going to need a break once in a while too. You're going to put Are you going to put Kumuro in for Steph Diggs when he needs a break, or Kumuro in for Davis when he needs a break? You know what I mean? It's just that guy did like he's all in his power. He deserves to be on a roster. That's like in your line of work or something, you're the best candidate for the job. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, this guy's good at sharpening pencils. So even though you're good at doing projections and,
I love
and,
that.
and all this work, we're gonna pick him because he's good at he can do that. And you're not really good at sharpening pencils. It's a really bad example, but Jay Kumuro is a terrible, terrible, terrible wide receiver. I don't even think he'd make any other team in the NFL. And
Wow.
Wow.
you say Aaron Rodgers is, he's high on him. I think that's all just like a joke, like touchdown Jesus. He scored like 2 touchdowns in his whole career. He's not a touchdown Jesus. He can barely sniff the end zone. He had 2 catches last year for 20 yards. He's played in 40 games and has 23 catches. That's a half a catch a game. I'm not going to say I could do that, but if I'm wide open in the game, I could do that. And it's just, I know Hodgins hasn't done anything in the NFL, but I am 100% taking Hodgins over Jake Kumuro. And I bet you can ask 31 other GMs in the NFL, who would you rather take as a wide receiver? And I know the special teams is a big thing, but Kumuro is easily replaceable on special teams. And that's just my opinion. You can even replace him you can put Zach Moss on kickoff. Zach Moss could lay a stick on somebody. He's not going to play a single down in that in the season this year because you got Tywan Jones and Cook and Singletary. He might not even suit up actually. So because they're probably only going to take 3 running backs. So
Yeah.
it's just blew my mind how. And I'm sorry I'm making this a long conversation, but
No, man, you
Get
gotta
it
get this
off your chest. I'm biting my tongue. I have a counter to what you're saying, but I'm gonna wait.
As a blocker, Sean, though, I think that's another valid point, and that's like besides just looking at them as a pure receiver, I do think obviously offensive skill wise, Isaiah Hodgins has it in terms of hands, route running, all that good stuff. In terms of separation, I think they're both pretty even there. But as a blocker, because now this year we might have a running game too, so I think that was another thing that maybe was taken into consideration. But
no, I
just
agree.
my thought.
And,
Yeah.
But that's why we got 3 tight ends so we can block. You're not going to throw Jake Kumaro out there instead of Tommy Sweeney and Quentin Morris, right? That's why we picked him.
Right.
So
yeah,
and that's the other thing. If we took 7, he would be on the team, obviously. And you can even argue with Stevenson. I'd rather have Hodgins than Stevenson too.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
He's gonna be on the roster after he's off the PUP list, and that's just what's about. You could have gave him what you gave Eli Inku, an injury settlement, and maybe you can come back, and then put Hodgins on that roster. Because I guarantee you, within the first hour that you can start taking people, he's going to be gone, and he's going to be on somebody's starting roster, and he's going to make a noise in the NFL. And that's going to be another thing, like a Wyatt Teller, where you really screwed up. And Wyatt Teller worked out for us in the end, but it seems like they always missed on a couple guys where you don't think they would miss. And Mike, I want to hear what you have to say in a second because I'm going to counter probably what you're going to counter with me. But it's just, again, special teams is important, but I don't see anything from him where it's like worth even keeping. It's not like if it's Matakevich and say Matakevich was a receiver and he had the same special teams ability, that's a no-brainer. But Kumuro is just like, he's just a guy. He's just there. I never see him making amazing plays or like, whoa, that's Kumuro again. It's just, he's on the field. He's getting his 5 snaps this game. And I don't know. I just didn't sit right with me, but I'll let you go ahead, Mike, and then I'll let James
go. I have to throw it to our guest first. So James, your thoughts.
I'll lean more towards the side of just, there was no real shock to me coming out of the receiver room. I mean, it's pretty written in stone. It seemed just McDermott and Bean hammered home the special teams thing all preseason. And like you guys keep touching on the blocking. Jake, you were just talking about the blocking. And it seems like Aaron Cromer and starting with the line to Rob Boris with the tight ends, they just all have, I believe, is Chad Hall the wide receivers coach?
Yeah.
I believe they all have they're so in sync with the run blocking so far this preseason, the sample size we've seen. And that's kind of where Kumuro kind of had a little advantage, but the special teams thing, you can't ever put too much stock into just how important a a kickoff return stop is inside the 20-yard line or 15-yard line. And it seems like Kumuro's constantly one of those guys where you see him flying down the field and you're like, who got that tackle? And you see, the nameplate when he pops up and it's Kumuro, and you're okay, and that's why this guy's constantly in the conversation to make the team. Hodgins, I would take Hodgins over Stevenson, though. I agree with that point. I don't get, other than a returner, which we seem to have been testing out guys at and doing okay with McKenzie and a few others. I think Hodgins takes Stevenson's spot in a heartbeat. I don't understand that move, but that's all I got for wide receivers.
The only reason that worked out with Stevenson is because he was on the PUP list. He was hurt already, so they can easily transfer him over and keep him on the PUP list all year if they want. They only ever have to keep him off. So it's kind of a free way to get a player that they drafted. And they still he's shown signs, but again, random foot injury. Now he had surgery on his foot as well. So hopefully when he does come back from that, guy's got speed. He's shown some flashes. Who knows? But it just worked out. He was a little lucky in that sense, in that he was hurt, and they were just, let's put him over there. We don't have to release him at all. So I think that's why he's there. As far as Kumuro and Hodgins, I don't know what games you guys are watching. I'm serious. Sean, no disrespect, but every game I've seen Hodgins in, all right, cool, he can catch the ball, but he never gets separation. Backups were covering him in all these preseason games. I've never seen the dude get separation. Now, you can argue that he didn't have a Josh Allen thrown to him, but I've seen enough of Kumuro, and I do take high stock in with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's a joke. And I did see him play with the Packers, and I've seen him get out on the field at times. And, when Aaron Rodgers is that disappointed, I do take stock in that. And they're both big receivers. Does Jake Kumuro is Hodgins' hands that much better than Kumuro? I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. So to me, they're similar. Again, I think I said this on our last show, Jake. I forget. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do think I said Kumuro would win that battle.
Yeah.
If they kept 6, I said it would be Kumuro. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, to me, they're not that much different. If Hodgins was his burner and could get big separation, okay. Jake Kumuro is not that. Look up their 40s. I don't think they're that much different, honestly. And the size wise,
4.5 and 4.6. Kumuro's got 0.1, but 40 speed is different than game speed.
Yeah, game speed's different. I don't put much into that either.
But if it's game speed, then why is Hodgins not getting something?
Right.
Again, I didn't see any of that. So that's my only take, Sean. I don't see them being that much different, other than Kumuro having the experience with us already. Also being out on the special teams, having a lot more experience than Hodgins there. And I know, I'm not a huge fan of keeping guys that are just special team aces, because we'll talk about some of these other positions where I felt we could have maybe lost one of those special team aces. But anyhow, that's my rebuttal to you, Sean.
No, and Mike, don't ever feel bad for thinking differently than me. But I do, before I continue, I do want to answer Papa Podge saying, why does Rodgers really want him back so bad? And again, in his whole career, he's only had 23 receptions. So I just don't see Aaron Rodgers being genuinely serious about wishing he was playing in a game with him. I think he means of the fact that he works hard in practice, and maybe he likes the guy. Because again, he wouldn't even be the 5th receiver in Green
He's
Bay
not
right
Devontae
now.
Adams,
Even without Devontae, he's not a top 5 or 6 on that team either. And again, I know you say he doesn't get separation, but the first game he had 9 catches, 80 yards, and he just was able. He has these hands. He only dropped one. I think it was 1 or 2 passes his entire collegiate career. And he was. If you watch his film from Oregon State, he's just insane, and that's why we got him. But I'm going to put this situation for you. The Gabe Davis, when we drafted them both, Gabe Davis was that guy that fit in the last spot. What if it was between Gabe Davis and Jake Kumuro, and we took Jake Kumuro because he could play special teams and not Gabe Davis, and then you don't get the Gabe Davis we got right now? Then someone else has him. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, I value special teams, but when it comes down to it, McKenzie's good, but is he a top 3 receiver on most teams? Maybe not. As I said, Gabe Davis is incredible, but now he's a number 2 guy. He was getting 35 catches as a number 3 or 4. Now he's number 2, and then Jamison Crowder's always hurt. I have high hopes for Crowder. I think he's going to be great with Josh Allen because he's never had a good quarterback. And then Shakir's another guy who I really like, but again, we have to see what he's going to do with us. But Crowder, he can play both, inside and out. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, I have a lot of faith in this wide receiver core. But when I look at it now, I know Hodgins wouldn't have made it up to an A+ or anything. But it's just, when you look at it, there's a lot of question marks besides Steph Diggs. McKenzie, he had a couple great, really incredible games, but now he's a number 2 or a 3 guy. Now, how's he gonna fit into that when he used to be like a four guy or a 5 guy, and people weren't really keying in on him? Now everybody's gonna key on Gabe Davis and McKenzie, and they're the men of the hour now because Jalen Ramsey's gonna be on Diggs. Diggs isn't gonna be able to get 20 catches in the game, 15 catches in the game. I don't know. I just value his receiving ability over a guy who's easily replaceable on special teams. But we don't have to continue. I'm not gonna ruin the mood. It's just he'll get picked up in a no time, and hope. I pray for the guy. He's had 2 years of injury, and he finally earned a spot on the team, and he didn't get that right to be on a team that he deserves. So hopefully another team that values him, and he can put food on the table for his family.
Yeah, and if not, I'm sure the Bills will bring him back to the practice squad.
Yeah,
I think they only kept 6, Sean, so they can bring your guy that you've been bragging about, OBJ. Like, I know you're a big OBJ fan. You want him.
Yeah,
So they kept 6 so they can make a play for him later on.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess if that's the case, I won't be mad. But that's a week away.
Are we? Anyone else want to say anything before we move on to the running back situation? I think it's going to be interesting, and I know he worked hard. I saw all the great hands, and it was going to be close. I wouldn't if it would have been Hodgins making it, Sean. I wouldn't have been like screaming that we lost Jake Kumuro either. So it was a toss up, and I really thought they might have kept both, honestly. So,
yeah, I thought too.
Yeah. All right. You good, Jake? You seem a little concerned there.
No, I'm not concerned. I'm a little upset, I guess, in the fact that I thought we were going to keep 7 guys, Mike, and I thought we'd actually keep both Jake Kumuro and Isaiah Hodgins, but clearly it came down to a choice, and they went with the guy that could play specials. And I know, Sean, you're not going to let this pass easily, but hopefully we made the right decision.
I hope so. And before I hope you guys don't think I think our receiving core is trash. I'm just saying
Nope.
It's got the potential to be outstanding, but also at the same time, it's got the potential to be detrimental because of question marks. That's all.
Yep.
But I also have a really good feeling about him.
Darius Watts, baby. I call him Darius Watts. He reminded me of the name. I don't know why.
Got a good feeling about the Bills, all because of you, Sean.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
James, any last thoughts before we move on?
I'm just sitting. Just now, it's dawned on me. We're going Isaiah versus Kumuro, but I feel maybe just from the preseason games, like you said, what games are we watching? Hodgins not getting much separation. Very true. His catches were contested mostly. And I'm just thinking, was it more Shakir versus Hodgins for the coaches? Was that what they were looking at more so than Kumuro versus Hodgins? And that's kind of what did him in there.
That's a good point.
Because Shakir came on strong and he had 5-6 yards.
You want to talk about it? Yeah, you want to talk about a kid that looks pro ready. I mean that I've never felt so confident with a 5th round pick in my entire life.
I thought he would. I thought that was going to make more than OJ Howard. I thought Shakir was going to make Crowder the cap casualty. Honestly,
yeah, right.
I was like, wow. What do you need Crowder for with Shakir coming up like that? But that's just, I guess, they want that veteran leadership. Give him his, like you said, he hasn't had a quarterback in his career.
He's been solid still, and I think the only reason why he's because he can play both outside and inside. That's why they kept him, because you got McKenzie playing slot and Shakir playing slot. I mean, but they're interchangeable also, I think. But Crowder, I think you guys all said this is going to be exciting if he stays healthy. If Crowder stays healthy, and Gabe Davis takes on the number 2 role, kind of how CeeDee Lamb did it last year, then I think it's just unimaginable what they can do. But he's got to stay healthy and be able to acclimate. That's all.
Yeah, final thought for me, now that you brought up Shakir, I mean, he went to high school about 20 minutes from where I am here in Temecula, California. And one of the guys on our channel, Tony, is a Boise State alumni. He actually played for Boise State. It was the defensive end for them. And as soon as Khalil was drafted, I texted him, and he's like, dude, you guys got to steal. This guy's got hands. He's quick inside the box. I mean, you are going to be super excited. And he lived up to all the hypes. Usually, sometimes you hear this hype and they don't live up to it, but he did. I think you're going to see a lot of this guy this year. I know he's going to be returning kicks for us for sure, but I think you'll see him on the field, and
Oh yeah.
we're going to be so happy that we got a steal. 5th round pick? Are you kidding me? Most draft boards had him in the third round going, right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
5th. Unbelievable. Anyway,
Yeah, on
super
draft day,
excited.
it was steal. That's like the steal
Yeah.
of the draft. A lot of the NFL
Absolutely.
experts were saying, and that's great. How does a guy like that fall so far if he's that skilled? It's
I know. It's
we're
crazy.
lucky, very lucky.
Think about it. Davis was a 4th round pick. Shakir was a 5th round pick, and I don't think we have any. We only
Diggs
have one.
was like a
He was a 5th
pick.
rounder.
5th round.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
incredible. Yeah, I mean,
they
think
find
Gabe
about it.
Davis is the highest drafted receiver on our team right now. Isn't that wild?
That
Think
is
about
crazy.
that.
They find great value in. I mean, I know we didn't draft Diggs, but
Yeah.
the Bills find great value from 3 on. Obviously, they draft well all together, but most teams start failing after the 3rd. That's when we make those picks like Shakir and Bernard and Davis, where people are like, I don't know about that guy, and then then they get 8 catches for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a playoff game.
Yeah.
The 2020 draft. I mean, you guys are talking about 40 times versus game speed, and I remember the behind the scenes or Beyond Blue and Red or whatever the Bills embedded. They had Bean at the combine, and he was talking about Gabe Davis, and he was saying, watching him do his 40, he's like, I hope he runs a slow 40 because his game speed is off the charts, and he didn't run a great 40, and he dropped, and I mean, it worked out so well for Bean. Bean kind of knew, like,
What a steal.
I want this guy, and I don't want him to be running a fast 40, but I know his game speed's insane.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
You guys, not to take up more time, but you said 40 time, and I started remembering you guys watch The Office at all?
Oh yeah.
Remember when Mose is running through like the field, and they showed Josh Allen running his 40 and how he's like running like Mose, and I was like, I think he did that on purpose because he does not run like that. And
Oh, that's awesome.
Arms straight up to the
You
side.
gotta look it up. It's hilarious, actually.
I'm going back. I have an Instagram account. I just wanted to see because I remember I was doing my predictions like when the Bills were drafting in 2020, and I talked about Gabe Davis, and I originally had the Bills hopefully getting Antonio Gandy Golden, who was drafted by Washington actually, but I thought Gabe Davis was going to get taken in the 3rd round by the Ravens. Actually, I remember in that draft, and I was talking about him here and just talked about how he was huge production at UCF, and it's fun to look back at some of these. I talked about Gabe Davis, as I mentioned, talked about Isaiah Hodgins, a couple other guys, DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
But man, it's you look at some of these late round picks, even that 2020, I think the only miss was Jake Fromm in the 5th round, but we've been pretty.
Don't get me started.
We've been pretty good. Yeah, right. We've been pretty good in the 5th round, man. I mean, Matt Milano's another 5th rounder under this regime. Saran Neal's another one. Boy, it's wild. I mean, and then just late round picks in general.
If it wasn't for Hodgins getting cut today, 2020 draft would have been 6 for 7 on players still on the active roster today, minus Jake Fromm, of course. That was a heck of a draft for Bean.
Yeah,
right.
He's not even he's the free agent now.
Yeah, he
not even on a team.
A pity start as a Giant last year, and it did not go well.
All right. Well, I do want to say
a 1st round pick.
Just want to take a moment for everyone in the channel. I see that there's 9 folks out there currently watching.
Oh wow!
If you're new to the channel, please get over to the Red, White, and Bills. If you're on there, if you're on the Nickel City Mafia, get on over to Sean's channel, Red, White, and Bills. Give him a like, hit that smash that subscribe button. And if you're new to our channel, please drop a nickel on that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. Love it. All right, let's move on, guys. Boy, we're an hour in. We better pick up the pace, or else you guys are going to be seeing the sunrise.
This is par for the course.